Today, we're diving into a fascinating book that focuses on helping the relatives of those struggling with alcohol and drug problems. Let's get started.
Absolutely. I'm really interested to hear more. What's the main focus of this book?
So, the book is called Handbook in the Craft Method by Annette Suard Neelon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really important work that sheds light on an often overlooked group, the 5 to 7 relatives behind every person with an alcohol or drug problem.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget how many people are affected beyond the individual user.
Exactly. And, traditionally, treatment focuses solely on the individual with the addiction.
Right.
But this book emphasizes the crucial role of relatives as change agents in the recovery process.
Wait. So the relatives become active participants in
Exactly.
helping their loved one?
Yes, precisely. It's about empowering them. The CRAFT method, which stands for Community Reinforcement and Family Training, originates from the U.S. and has been adapted and researched in Denmark with remarkable results.
That's great. But
It
what
is.
makes CRAFT different from other approaches?
Well, it's unique because it not only helps the relatives improve their own quality of life, but also effectively encourages the person with the addiction to seek help.
So it's like a 2-for-1 benefit?
Exactly. It's a win-win situation. The book is structured into 3 parts.
Yeah.
The first part delves into the theory and experiences of being a relative when addiction dominates the relationship.
That must be incredibly challenging for families.
It is. It really is. The book describes how quality of life and health deteriorate for relatives, and it uses simple yet understandable models to explain this.
I imagine that's helpful for readers to really grasp the impact.
Absolutely. Then, the second part goes into the individual elements of the CRAFT interventions.
Okay.
It covers topics like hope, functional analysis, prevention of violence and abuse, improving quality of life, and especially communication skills.
Communication is key in any relationship, but I suppose it's even more critical here.
Definitely. Good communication can make a huge difference. And the third part is a detailed walkthrough of the intervention phase, both individually and in groups. Plus, there are indispensable help sheets and materials in the appendices.
Sounds like a comprehensive guide for anyone in that situation.
It really is. And the reviewer, Bjarne Stenger Elholm, who is a nurse and project manager at Alcohol and Samfund, highly recommends the book. He highlights its methodological focus on relatives as the target group.
That's fantastic.
It is.
But, I wonder if the method addresses situations where the relationship between the relative and the person with the addiction is severely damaged.
That's a great question. The method acknowledges that relationships may have suffered.
Right.
It helps relatives see their role anew and become agents of change despite past hurts.
It's empowering them to take constructive steps forward.
Exactly. And what's really compelling is that research in Denmark has shown that the CRAFT method not only improves the relative's quality of life, but also has strong results in motivating the person with the addiction to seek help.
That's a significant outcome. Encouraging someone to seek help can be incredibly difficult.
It can be, but with the right tools and support, it's possible. The book offers practical strategies for this.
Okay.
It's like giving the relatives a map and compass to navigate a challenging journey.
That's a good analogy. But I'm curious, do you think focusing on the relatives might shift responsibility away from the individual with the addiction?
Well, the method doesn't absolve the individual from responsibility.
Right.
Instead, it recognizes that addiction affects the whole family system. And by supporting the relatives, we can create a more conducive environment for recovery.
That makes sense. It's a holistic approach.
Exactly. And, given that traditional treatment often overlooks relatives due to legislation focusing on the drinker or drug user, this approach fills a critical gap. It's time we broadened our perspective on treatment.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like we've been looking at just one piece of the puzzle.
Yes. And now we're starting to see the whole picture.
Yeah.
The CRAFT method brings everyone into the process, which can enhance the effectiveness of treatment overall.
That's encouraging. Do you think this method will become more widespread in treatment programs?
I certainly hope so. With the documented success in Denmark, there's a strong case for integrating it more broadly.
It seems like it could make a real difference in many people's lives.
Absolutely. And, just thinking about it, It's not just about treating addiction, but healing families.
Exactly.
And that's something we should all support.
Well said. I'm really
Thank
glad
you.
we discussed this book. It sounds like a valuable resource.
It truly is. For anyone dealing with these challenges or professionals in the field, it's a highly recommended read.
Thanks for sharing all this.
You're
I
welcome.
think it's given me a new perspective on how we can support those affected by addiction.
I'm glad to hear that. It's an important
Yeah.
conversation to have.
Definitely. Well, should we
Sounds
wrap it
good.
up here?
Sure. Thanks for the great discussion. And to our listeners, we hope you found this insightful.